have you or anybody you know ever called off a wedding kind of last minute? I really think if the invites have gone out already and you start getting RSVPs and then you call off the wedding, that story qualifies for what we're talking about here. 601-995-1017. I was reading about a bride in India who called off her wedding from the altar whenever the drunk groom placed a garland on the bride's best friend during the wedding ceremony.
Oh, yeah, that's not how that's supposed to work, my man.
So I don't know if she was thinking that he was being unfaithful or was just disgusted at how drunk he got at his own wedding, but either way, left him standing up there at the altar, didn't get married.
I could see how if you were already maybe a little suspicious of the signs of like, is this guy going to party too much? Is this guy going to, act a fool at times? And then he does that at the wedding and is also being inappropriate with a bridesmaid. Like, you're like, I'm done. I'm out.
So I've talked about it before. I used to DJ weddings, and I remember one time I showed up at a wedding that I was DJing, and another guy that we worked with at the company was there too. And I was like, Damien, what are you doing here? And he was like, dude, I got to play you a voicemail. Plays me a voicemail he got at 3 o'clock in the morning from the groom that he was supposed to DJ the wedding of. The groom is drunk and sobbing in the voicemail saying that they've called the wedding off.
Poor guy.
3:30 in the morning, the day of the wedding. Do you know anybody who's called off a wedding last minute?
Yes, I do.
What happened?
And it was one of my friends, and they were about to get married, and the guy was like, we're done. I'm calling this off. And my friend begged him not to because her parents had kind of paid for the whole wedding, and it was like her dream wedding. And she was like, we can get divorced as soon as it's over, but I want all this stuff. I want my dream wedding. Please don't ditch me before I get my dream wedding.
What did he do?
He ditched her. He was
Really?
like, I'm not going to get married and get divorced just so you can have your dream wedding.
Couldn't they have just not signed the paperwork? And then it wouldn't have counted?
Well, it's a good thing that you weren't involved in that conversation back then.
Like, just have the party and everything.
Because I feel like then she's going to have had her dream wedding with like no actual marriage. And how awkward is that whenever she does meet the guy that she marries?
Yeah, she's going to have toasters and everything else. It'll be good. Pots and pans.
No.
All set up for singlehood. I love it. Who called off a wedding at the last minute? I'm talking like after you've already sent out the invites and you start getting RSVPs back and then you decide this is going to be a miserable rest of my life if I go through with this. 601-995-1017. Love this text that we got from Lynn. It says, when I was 17, I called it off about a month before the wedding, and he cried so bad I married him anyway, just not at a church. We eloped and divorced 6 months later. So you were right, Lynn. You should have trusted your instincts and not worried about those tears.
But when you're 17, you fall for stuff. Brantley knew some people that had been together for 9 years. They were planning their wedding, and at the last minute, they were like arguing all the time, realizing they weren't right for each other, so they called it off.
Those are the stories that I would love to be like a fly on the wall
know,
for.
right?
I want to know what happened. Like 9 years together.
I wonder what was the final argument.
I know. I want to know. 601-995-1017. If you've ever witnessed this happen, maybe you did it yourself, called off the wedding at the last minute. Brittany, so glad you called because your mom knew a couple twin sisters who had planned like a joint wedding and then a groom didn't show up. What happened?
Yes, so she had twin cousins, sisters, and they were both dating guys around the same time, seriously. So then both of the guys proposed around the same time, so they planned a double wedding. And then one of the groomsmen bailed, did not show up at the altar, so one of the brides was left standing there. But because they had the venue and everything planned and a reception and all that, the other twin went ahead and got. So she had to watch her twin sister get married.
Do you know if there was any meltdown? Because, like, I can't imagine if I'd planned a joint wedding with my friend and, like, then my groom didn't show up and I still had to watch the other two get married, I would be having a meltdown.
Yes, she did. I don't think she ever recovered from it, honestly, which is the saddest part. I think she kind of settled after that and didn't have good relationships after that, which it's kind of like, that would be scarring for sure. But so there were a lot of people that were, it was difficult because there were a lot of people that were angry, mad, upset at the wedding, but at the same time, it was the other sister's day as well. So it was just an awkward situation.
Dang.
You got the single sister's digits?
This was many, many years ago.
Even better.